Hey guys, today we're going to go over the Euro Yen bias that hit its target this week and also cover a new daily bias on the CAD Yen. Alright, so let's start with the Euro Yen. Alright, this is a daily chart. Let me run you by the current setup I was looking at. So the last daily long trade, that form was right here. And the last daily short trade, that form was right here. And the initial analysis was stating that the bias was long. Or in other words, price was likely to reach this pivot high before reaching this pivot low right here. And so as price ranged around in these areas, I was looking for lower confirmations so I could take a long entry. However, the lower confirmation never formed and the main target was hit right here. And so at this point, this daily bias is reset back to neutral. All right, so let's go ahead and review this setup. Let's go over to the 1 hour chart. Okay, so on this 1 hour chart, that daily long bias was stating that price was likely to reach this pivot high right here before reaching that daily bias's pivot low way below. Now initially at this point right here, there was a possibility of a lower confirmation forming, however it did not, and price went straight up to its main target right here to reset the bias back to neutral. Now that said, I only showed 1 hour and above lower confirmations on these analysis because showing the even lower time frames will be impossible to update in a practical way. Okay, but right at this point right here, there was 15-minute lower confirmation of strong long strength, which actually confirmed this bias to be long. So just for educational purposes, let me just show you what that looks like. Let's go over to the 15-minute chart. Okay, so on this 15-minute chart, that daily bias's main target was right here. And right at this point right here, there was a breakout and immediate break back in. However, right after that, price came up to that pivot high to create strong long strength, which confirmed that daily bias to be long. Okay, and then right after that, after a nice pullback, we got that move up to that main target right here. Okay, so in this way, even if the 1 hour and above lower confirmations don't form, the even lower time frames do form lower confirmations. Okay, so it's a good idea for educational purposes to go ahead and look for those on your own. All right, I'll keep you guys updated when a new daily or weekly bias forms on this pair. All right, so let's go on to the CAD Yen. Okay, and if you're having trouble understanding what I'm talking about in terms of biases and lower confirmations, check out my analysis manual, which is an instruction book to help you better understand these forecasts. All right, this is a monthly chart. We'll start off with an overview. So since there was a breakout, an immediate break back in right here, our price came right back up to its pivot high. There was strong long strength created on this monthly chart. However, the following month, there was a nice rejection candle right here, which eliminated this strong long strength. And as price came down to these levels at this point, there are no signs of current long or short strength. So in the long term, I'm neutral biased. Okay, and moreover, there was a daily short trade that formed right here, and a daily long trade that formed a little while back in these areas right here. And I'm currently waiting for the lower time frames to confirm this daily bias. So in the short term, I'm neutral biased. All right, let's talk entries. Okay, this is a daily chart. Let me run you by the current setup I'm looking at. So the last daily long trade, that form was right here, and the last daily short trade, that form was right here about 3 days ago. Now let's do our initial analysis to figure out how much long strength there is and short strength there is. So let's go over to the monthly chart. Okay, so on this monthly chart, that daily long trade formed in this area right here. And what's providing long strength for that daily long trade are 3 miniature gaps. This one, and this one right here. Okay, and that daily short trade formed in this area, and there's actually no price elements providing short strength. Okay, so in terms of long-term elements, there's more long strength than short strength for those daily trades. All right, so let's go ahead and finish up this analysis. Let's go back to the daily chart. All right, so back on this daily chart, that daily long trade has a nice rejection candle right here, providing a good amount of long strength. And more of this short trade right here also has a nice rejection candle. So in terms of the candle strength contributing to this analysis, I would say it's about even. Okay, so all in all, the initial analysis is stating that this daily bias is long, or in other words, price is likely to reach this pivot high before reaching this pivot low. Now let me show you what I'm looking for on the lower time frame confirmations so I could take an entry on this setup. Let's go over to the 1 hour chart. Okay, so on this 1 hour chart, at the current moment, there's only possible 1 hour confirmations that will confirm short strength at this point. Now, first of all, this upper trend line right here, we get a little bit of a range right here and then come down to this trend line, break it out and immediately break back in. However, price comes down to that pivot low. That'll create strong short strength. Now you want to remember, I need this little range right here because you want the pivots for lower confirmations to be roughly equal in distance. Okay, and the other possibility is this lower trend line right here. So if you get price to fall down here, break it out, immediately break back in, and then come down to this pivot low, that would also create strong short strength and confirm that daily bias to be short, in which case I'll be willing to take a short entry with a stop loss at this pivot high and its main target roughly in these areas right here where the daily bias is long trade formed. Okay, so again, you always want to remember the lower confirmations have the ultimate say. So even if the initial bias is stating that it's long, if we get lower confirmation of strong short strength, I won't hesitate to take a short entry. Alright, so we'll just see what happens with this one, and I'll keep you guys updated, guys. Okay, so that's it for the weekly analysis. If you guys been watching my analysis for a while, you'll notice that I always talk about the aesthetics portion of lower confirmations using trend lines. So let me go ahead and explain a little bit about that. Now, first of all, you want to remember that lower confirmations with trend lines is based on the idea that that trend line is viewed by other traders also. Okay, and the only way you could confirm strength with trend line breakouts is if other traders around the world view that trend line breakout to be significant. Okay, and keeping this idea in mind, over the years as I traded this strategy, I noticed certain aesthetic qualities that assure that other traders also view that trend line as significant. Okay, so for example, many years back, I've noticed that a trend line must have an equal distance between each pivot. And if the distance between each pivot is unequal, a lot of times other traders around the world don't pay attention to it. Okay, so seeing that the aesthetic portion of lower confirmations with trend lines is vital in order to accurately confirm strength, it's really important to understand the basic aesthetic rules of trendline breakout confirmations. Okay, and I explain these aesthetic rules throughout the year when they come out in real-time trading. So every time I explain these aesthetic qualities in my analysis, I suggest you jot them down and perhaps just make a notebook that jots down all the aesthetic qualities required for legitimate lower confirmations with trend lines. Okay, so that's it for the weekly analysis. I hope you guys have a great week, guys. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.